That's amazing.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah. It's really dope because this is why I love meeting new people, especially people like yourself that are entrepreneurs, man, because I find a lot of people that I meet, they break things down differently and I'm able to learn. You know what I mean? Because like I have a bit of a similar mentality on things, but I would have never said it that way.
Yeah, for sure. That's the thing. Sometimes we think we have no free time. You know, so I think that's one of the things that would always hold us back, because we think we have no free time. We think because we work a 9 to 5, we don't have no time to really figure out what we want to do part time to propel us to that next level. You know, but that's the thing about life, man. Once you figure out what you really want and start working towards that goal, you start figuring out you don't really need that full time. Once you figure out that you can do something part time, still make that full time income as a business owner, then you can start enjoying the fruits of your labor.
Yeah, man.
Definitely, man, for sure. Which I think would lead to another great thing I think we can help our listeners with, man. Because obviously, now that you have your 9 to 5, so obviously that comes with its own set of tax laws.
Yeah.
You also own your business. If you was to give not advice, man, but like just the tax implications alone, like how awesome is it having that extra thing, especially for your taxes, man?
Yeah, so the things I write off for my taxes have to do predominantly with the business, so it lowers your income. There's pros and cons to it. Like if you're gonna go now and say you're gonna purchase a house, if you write off a lot of your taxes, your income is lower. So when someone goes to check, okay, what was your average income the last 5 years, and people who write off an obscene amount on their taxes, it's just like, well, you really don't have any income.
That's right.
Right? And you can tell them, oh no, you know what, I actually do have a lot of income, but I write a lot of my taxes off. They're gonna look at the paper and be like, well, this is not what the paper says. Right? So like if let's just say you have everything, you have your house. If you're in a position where you have your house, you have everything, you want to write as much tax as you can so you can claim some back, it's great to have a business for that. You can write off gas, travel expense, entertainment, eating, a lot of stuff you can write off. Definitely. Right? But you have to understand, if you don't have certain things, like you want to get a house and you start writing a whole bunch of stuff off, you have to understand when you go to your mortgage agent, or if you're going to go to a private lender, your income is really not reflective of what it should be. It's going to be a lot lower. But
that's the beauty, right? You want it lower on paper.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because the higher it is, especially as an employee, because I've had like really, really good paychecks as an employee, and then it's gone, man.
Yeah, during tax time. But like again, if you want to get that big purchase, you want to buy that house, they're going off of what is your income, and that's what you qualify for a mortgage. And if you write off a whole bunch of stuff on your taxes, your income is almost like barely anything. So you're not going to qualify for a home. There's the pro and cons. So if you have your house already, you own a house, you write off as much as you can. But I'm not going to sit here and say if you don't have a house, don't write off as much as you can, but you have to be prepared to have a bigger down payment. You got to have a bigger.
That's the thing most people don't understand, because I never knew that.
I know, man, that's huge.
Because I've always heard, especially as us we're starting our own business or starting our own media company here, we've been told as a business owner you can write off anything at any time when it's necessary. But that tip, right, that's a major tip. Yeah. You know, so
I should also jump in. It also depends on the type of business. So if you have a sole proprietorship, that your sole proprietorship, the legal name of the company is your first, middle, and last name. That's right. So when you write off things there, like if you have your sole proprietor company and you're working somewhere else, if you write off things on your expenses, it's literally your personal income. If you have a corporation, that's separate entity from yourself. So if you are starting a business and it's a corporation, write off as much as you can, because it will not affect your personal income. That's where I wanted to clarify. I should clarify that as well.
Because that was what I was getting at, man. Because I think that's a great tip. Because you're right. For the world out there, this is I rent this apartment, right? So I want to buy a home, but you're right, man. On paper, for me to go, obviously I'll have my down payment, right? Yeah. But on paper, when the bank is looking at my income, that number does need to be higher right now.
Yeah, it would need to be. At
this point in my life, on paper, I need to show a strong income so I can qualify for the loan.
But you get taxed more. so that's you got to figure out how much. It's like it's a numbers game.
I love what you said, though. I mean, you said if you already have a home or whatever, then you start writing everything off. Yeah. You know what I mean? But what's really cool, and obviously correct me if I'm wrong, you know better because I've never started my own corporation, but let's say we do incorporate, right? But you said our corporation is separate.
It's a separate entity.
We can always essentially put ourselves as employees, and let's just say we made, $100 grand.
Yeah.
Us as people, like Tony and Darrell, made $100 grand under, let's just say, Third Dimension Studios.
Yeah.
That would still would that solve that problem?
That would, your company would be taxed.
Mm-hmm. The company would be taxed, but let's say for me, because I want to go buy a home, I'm not going to buy a home in Third Dimension Studios name.
No.
It's going to be under my own name.
So then it won't, it wouldn't affect your personal income tax. Right. So that's where it's separate. It's good to have a corporation. Like, I would say, if once you start making more than 30 grand a year, incorporate your company.
Definitely.
And for multiple reasons, because if you get sued and they sue your company, it's your company.
It won't affect you.
It's not going to affect a personal lawsuit. So they can't come after your house. They will come after any assets of under Third Dimension. Yes. So, and then once you're corporations get taxed less. I think it's like 32% or like max, whereas sole proprietorship can be 35 to like 40%.
Wow. Oh, definitely.
It could be, but corporations, your taxes cost more, but I think your taxes is probably 120, whereas the sole proprietorship is like 60. But if you're okay with the $60 difference, which you should be okay with, you might as well incorporate. There's so much more tax benefits of having a corporation.
Definitely, man. I was looking into it the other day, remember?
Yeah, for sure. But that's the thing about having a corporation, man. It just pretty much just saves you on the back end.
Yes.
It saves you on the back end, absolutely.
Than a sole proprietorship. But at the end of the day, the best way to start off as a sole proprietor and then gradually work your way out to incorporating yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And the kind of business you have too. So
definitely.
It also makes a big difference.
Definitely, man. Sure. That's amazing, dude. So just kind of like on the fly, man, because I like the way you think, and I love that, you kind of went back hunter-gatherer time, man.
Yeah.
Like, that was dope because that was so right. So let's just say you were going to add another stream of income. What would you jump into? Because obviously you have, your 9 to 5, we said you're in the tech industry, right?
Yeah.
The medical tech industry, correct?
Medical tech, yeah.
There we go. And then obviously you have Luke's Tailored Tutoring, which is an amazing name, LTT.
Yeah.
By the way, for the camera, yeah. So if you were to add another one, man, what would you jump into? Like, what's an industry you really like?
I like industries where you don't physically have to be there. So like consulting, I would like to do.
So would you do the same thing? Hire consultants, the
exact same thing. Web designing. I like doing industries where you can reach the most amount of people possible. So like, I'm gonna give you an example. Construction is a great industry to do, but construction, it's so much liability. There's so much storage of assets you need to have. Food industries, just again, I like food, but I wouldn't run a food company because there's so much assets you have, and those the assets that you have, they go bad, they expire. So I wouldn't even go in the food industry. It's too much stress for that. So I said, let's go more towards the tech industry. Technology doesn't physically expire.
That's the age that we're in,
like,
technology.
Yeah, like these microphones will be here for the next 50 years.
That's right.
So the tech industry is kind of where I want to go. Production, videography, photography, and there's millions of people there, but there's still millions of people that need it every day.
Yes.
So it doesn't matter if you're the millionth and one person to do it. There are people who are starting every day, and there's people who are giving up every day. So it's a cycle, but you just always want to be at the top. So
fuck, that was amazing.
So you think about that too. So at the end of the day, those are the industries you kind of want to go into. I've done the hard labor stuff. Hard labor stuff is great.
Me too, man.
I'm not the biggest fan of it because I know how hard it is. But at the same time, if I had to do it again, I'm not gonna whine about it. I would do it. And I respect everyone that does that kind of work.
Of course.
But it just requires your time, and that's
your body, and that could expire eventually.
Exactly.
Like
and that's why
something go out, right?
And that's why I try to mitigate the amount of time I put into something. Right. So when I do online tutoring, the way we set it up is, if you want me to help or you want one of our tutors to help, this is the rate. If you want to pay for a recording we've done before, it's much lower, and you keep the recording as long as you want.
Nice, man.
Right. So but if you require our time, it's going to cost more. So
absolutely.
Yeah, man.
That's amazing, bro.
That's really cool, man. This has been amazing. Enlightening, eh, bro?
Very enlightening. Man. Right now, I'm learning so much.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm at a tutoring session.
Seriously, though, for free, pro bono.
We do it, man. We do this.
That's awesome, man. So I was like, and because, I mean, obviously, man, like I love business, man. I've had my fair share of like business ventures and stuff like that. But obviously, you, as the owner of the company, obviously you can't tutor all the students, so you hire tutors, man, do you have like a screening process? Like, what's that look like, man? What's it like? Let's just say, for example, like, dude, hire me and Durrel to teach. Let's just say.
I can go over so many scenarios like that. Our screening process is it's intensive. Mm-hmm. I can get started. So we send out posting. People apply. Yeah. Okay. Number one thing I look at is if we're hiring Whippy and you're applying from Scarborough, it's probably not going to work out.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just the logistics don't work. But we have postings in Scarborough, or we used to. So area, I look at and then I look strictly at your experience. Have you tutored before, or have you not tutored before? That's going to determine your pay range. If you have no experience, I would give you the chance for a phone call just to hear your kind of energy, your potential.
Yeah, I like that.
Then I look at your education. If you're going to start tutoring in math and you put all these subjects, but you don't have any of that educational experience, then you're just not qualified for it. If I wouldn't send you to work with my nephew or my cousins, I wouldn't send you with anybody else. So that's the first part. Reply to them back, are you good for this phone interview? Go through the phone interview. During the phone interview, I'm really thinking about your tone in the interview, how you're answering my questions, because at the end of the day, you're answering questions of demanding parents. They don't care. At the end of the day, the parents don't care what the money is. They care is, are you going to waste my time? Are you going to be able to help my child? Okay, they don't care about the money. So if I'm asking you a critical thinking question and you're not answering it in a way that I like it, the way I would answer, or even better, you're not going to make it through. Then if they make it through to that's great. Now I need your paperwork, your police check, your references, and I can tell when someone sends me a fake reference. So I'll call them, I'll ask them a question about them, and then I do a lot of extensive research on the applicants. Like I'll go through their Facebook, their Instagram if they have it. I see the kind of person that they are. If you're the type of person that you're going to be working with kids, but I see you doing illegal stuff on your Instagram, this is not going to work out, right? Because things like you're going to revert back to your normal self at some point in time. So I go through everything. So I go through that screening process. Sometimes I have third-party companies that will do that screening process as well. As long as your page is open and it's public, I'm gonna go through it. I'll find it.
100%.
So we go through that stuff. Then I meet them in person. I look at the way they're dressed, the way they carry themselves, their body language. And when I talk to them in person, it's not really the most friendly interaction. It's pretty rough, pretty abrasive. Like I'll be like, I don't think you're good for this job. Straight up, they'll give me the best answer, and I'm like, I don't think you're good with this job.
So you kind of play like a devil's advocate.
Yeah. So I'm like
you on purpose.
Yeah, I'll bring them into the interview, and I'm just like, they think they're having. I'm like, I don't think you're gonna be good enough for this job. I don't think I would.
Are you doing that? So now they have.
I want to see what they're like under pressure, because you gotta understand. You gotta understand. You have a brother, right? You have two brothers.
I have two brothers.
You have two brothers. If someone comes into your place and they're gonna work with your brother, and you've known your brother your whole life, you're gonna press that person a bit. You're like maybe not verbally, but the eyes are on. It's a lot of pressure. You're taking a kid or even an adult, and you're saying, come into my hands. I'm gonna take your future in my hands and get you where you gotta get to.
You want to see how they're gonna.
How you're gonna react to that. It's a lot of pressure. You're basically taking this person's hand and you're guiding them. So when I say stuff like that, sometimes their face gets red. I've had one person puke one time in an interview. It's crazy, and I'm just like, listen, this pressure is immense. You need to understand like what you're getting yourself into.
That's right.
Right. This is not like a day job. So we go through that, and if you make it through that stage, you're on board.
Pretty much.
Most of it. That's what I kind of go through. Like literally, the first thing is I don't think you're good enough for this job. To be honest, here's the other companies you can apply to, and that's kind of how I do it. And you should see some of their faces. Their faces drop.
Yeah.
But I'm preparing you, because you're gonna get people like that. You're gonna get protective parents.
Yes.
Right. I'm doing a favor. Like you're gonna get these people.
What's That's that's amazing, man. Like I love it. So what is like, I guess just off top memory, and if you have one, cool, but what's like one of the craziest answers you ever heard to that question? Like responses, sorry.
Well, I've heard people rebuttal it. They're like, well, why did you think that?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh man, you look kind of nervous. Right? And some people are just like, no, I'm cut out for this job. Or this one lady just like, okay, and she got up and she literally walked away.
So that's
for sure, man. Especially
that's a go. And I'm not trying to make them feel bad, but I'd rather you get up and say this is not for me.
Especially you're going to see their anxiety level at that situation.
I want to see your heart rate drop. I want to see how well you can control this.
Yeah.
Because like personally, I'm not a parent, but if you sit down with someone and they're protected over their kid and they're looking at you like this and it's like, have you done this before? The way you react is either you're gonna gain their respect or you're not gonna gain it.
Yeah, for sure.
And people are like, some people are like, well, it's not that serious. I'm like, it is, man. Because you got to think, like, you have a dog, right?
That's a red flag for you too. If somebody was to say that, it's not.
Yeah, no, like my friends may say that.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah,
I thought you meant like a Canada.
No, my Canada won't say that. But
yeah, you lost the job.
You have your dog, right? Yep. Okay, you go on vacation, and you're gonna bring your dog to someone, and they're gonna be there. They're gonna be there for 7 days.
Yes.
You're gonna press them.
Definitely.
You're not gonna be like, oh, I found you on Kijiji. Take my dog. It like. When you're on vacation, you don't want to have to think about is my dog. You're gonna be thinking about your dog, but not the well-being. Is my dog okay?
Yes.
If you're constantly calling, and that then takes work off of me because for the amount of educators I have, I don't want parents constantly calling me or calling my the people who I work with and being like, yo, I think there's something off with this person.
Yeah.
I need to make sure that when you're in there, you're completely autonomous.
That's a reflection of you.
Exactly. So we need to make sure that barrier is cut down very quickly.
Dude, that shit was gold, man.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, man.
That is so cool, man. That dude, like I'm kind of speechless, man.
Yeah, I mean, you're going back to that, especially
that was amazing.
Especially at the anxiety level of the people that you're hiring on. At that moment, you really get to test. You pretty much get to attest to how they react in different situations.
Yeah.
You know, so it's amazing that you do that because at the end of the day, most people don't really realize how, in terms of how they will react in different situations. They probably didn't expect that interview session. That question right there will present itself.
Yeah. They don't expect that intensity, but I don't ever expect them to get to that level of intensity with someone. But then I'll know in the worst case scenario, you know what to do.
Yeah, definitely. Especially with these kids too. Sometimes they might ask a question that might put you on the edge.
Yeah.
So how you gonna react in that situation when they ask you a question that you might not have the answer to?
Yeah.
You know, so
I've seen some teachers where I've experienced going through school and they don't have the best people skills. You guys know you always know that there's that one kid in the class that causes trouble, and the way that the teachers get mad, they slam their book or they close the door, they start shouting at the student, and you got to really think that you are in control of your emotions at all times, and you're making an 8-year-old do that. You got to think that you're telling this 8-year-old to behave, but yet you're behaving like someone.
You're behaving like an 8-year-old.
Like an 8-year-old, right? And I'm not going to sit down here and say that everyone is perfect but you got to think that I can't have that. If you're working with an 8-year-old and they're not listening to you, and you're in their home and you're yelling, you're slamming books, that is not acceptable. So if I can't feel comfortable with you handling a disrespectful adult or a pressing adult like me in that interview, there's no way you're gonna handle an 8-year-old.
For sure.
That's amazing.
I don't care what kind of teaching school or college you went to, you're not fit to work here.
Yeah. So one question I have.